Holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. It's me, your host, Brent Thomas. I'm here with you. I'm here on this fine Saturday night. Yeah. So what night is this again? Yeah, Saturday night. I'm here with you on this fine Saturday night. Hope you guys are doing great. Thank you so much for joining me as we dive once again into the uncharted depths of the Paranormal Portal. And I think I've got a bunch of fun stuff lined up for you guys tonight. At least I hope so. But it's just me. I got nobody else. Nobody else is with me tonight. You're just stuck with me. So I hope that'll be okay. But turn down the lights, light a candle, and think happy thoughts, and we'll just do fine. No, I like doing shows this way as well. You know, I love having someone like Don here or Sheldon when he's able to make it to, you know, bounce thoughts off of and stuff, and that's always fun. But you guys are my co-host tonight, so I want to see that chat lighten up. That's it. You got to help me carry the 2 hours. If you don't, it might be my fault, but it might be yours too. No, I just if you got things to share, please by all means call in. By all means, call in tonight. You can do that by dialing 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. Or if you're on YouTube and you're looking, they're right there above my finger. They're really tiny. I still haven't blown those up. Yeah, I know. It's on the list. It's somewhere on the list. But anyway, for those of you on TFR, just remember, or on iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live networks, just remember that number, 720-923-0500. And that'll get you in touch with me here. I'll be watching for the phone calls come in. Thank you, Julia, for posting that in the chat on YouTube. I appreciate that. It's always a good reminder, but it's always, for those of you on YouTube, it's always on your screen right there. But anyway, we're going to cover some Black-Eyed Kids stuff tonight. We're going to cover some UFO stuff tonight. We're going to cover some spirit ghostly stuff tonight. And as always, we're going to cover the news. All right, folks, welcome to the Paranormal Portal News Desk. I'm your anchor, Brent Thomas. I'm going to bring you all the Paranormal Portal news that I could accumulate before the start of the show. I think I did okay. I don't know. Again, I just have to stop over to unexplained-mysteries.com because they have pretty much the one-stop shop for the Paranormal Portal news. They've got so many great articles over there, just thousands of them, and they have archives as well. But it's amazing how cutting edge and current their stories are as well. First off, I've got a story, and it's not nearly, not always is the Paranormal Portal news absolutely paranormal portal or paranormal. It's just sometimes weird and unusual, and I guess that makes it paranormal. So just tune in and tell me what you think as we dive into our first story tonight, coming from unexplained-mysteries.com, and that is Zoo Visitor Rescues Handler from Alligator. It's come from the 18th of August, so it's just days ago, but apparently the handler was in deep trouble. It says, a zoo visitor in Utah recently saved a handler by literally jumping onto an alligator tank to wrestle the animal. In a chilling reminder of just how dangerous alligators can be, handler Lindsay Bull of Scales and Tails, Utah, was badly injured at the weekend when one of the animals latched onto her hand and would not let go. Video footage of the incident shows her struggling with the alligator before jumping into the water to prevent her arm from being ripped off by its jaws. As the struggle continues, the alligator rolls over, forcing her to wrap her body around the animal and be dunked underwater. Fortunately, however, one of the visitors to the zoo that day, Donnie Wiseman, quickly jumped on top of the alligator and held it down to stop it from further twisting Bull's arm. After a tense standoff, the creature eventually let go, allowing her to withdraw to safety. In a post thanking those who risked themselves during the incident, the zoo wrote, "Working with some of these animals has inherent risks that we as the staff accept. Yesterday, the sort of event that we hope never happens happened. One of our gator handlers got bitten by our large alligator, and things took a bad turn. These gentlemen could have stayed in the safety zone as most of us would, but instead jumped into the situation of their own volition, then helped secure the alligator. But Bull, who suffered broken bones during her ordeal, is now recovering in hospital." Well, thank God she kept her arm. That's the big thing. Because, that's what they do. They latch on and spin. They're not a gentle animal. They just drag you under and start rolling, and it's a mess. There's just no happy ending to that. But this has a happy ending because somebody actually dove in and helped out. Ugh, that's got to be a horrible thing. I really love and respect those kind of animals, but I really think they should probably not be in zoos. They should just be in their own place. But I don't know. These things happen, right? All right. That was the first story on tonight's Paranormal Portal News. The next story is kind of a weird one. I don't know. I thought this was interesting, so I pulled it up. Let me just scan it quick before I put it on screen, because I'm hoping it's not one of those really long ones that I often have to skip. And no, this one isn't, but it does sound kind of dark and weird because everybody knows on those hot summer days, you're just wondering, how much more heat could I take? It's been horrible, especially around the United States this year. And I'm sure worldwide. But anyway, how much heat can a human endure? Well, that's the next article on unexplained-mysteries.com. And it says, with heat waves seeing temperature records being broken on a regular basis, just how hot is too hot? What is the hottest temperature you've ever experienced? In some parts of the world, heat waves can be more than just uncomfortable to endure. They can actually prove deadly. The heat dome, which brought about scorching heat over the United States earlier this year, for example, was believed to have been responsible for the deaths of hundreds of people. Just how much heat can a human realistically endure before it becomes too much? According to a study published last year, the answer is a wet bulb temperature of 95 degrees. What the hell does that mean? Wet bulb temperature of 95 degrees Fahrenheit. With wet bulb referring to a temperature being recorded by a thermometer that's wrapped in a water-soaked blanket or cloth. The reason for this is that the maximum endurance temperature is different depending on the humidity, because the higher the humidity, the less effective sweating becomes at cooling you down. Under these conditions, the human body will be unable to function after 3 hours or so. If the wet bulb temperature rises above the human body temperature, you can still sweat, but you're not going to be able to cool your body to the temperature that it needs to operate physiologically, said Colin Raymond at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Eventually, your body becomes hyperthermic, not to be confused with hypothermic, which leads to symptoms such as inability to sweat, a rapid pulse, confusion, faintness, and unconsciousness. Suffice to say, it is best to stick to the shade and keep well hydrated when temperatures are particularly high. Yeah, I've had heat stroke before. That's a nasty thing, and it's really weird because even though you're feeling like you're boiling, like all of a sudden you just feel like you're starting to get cold, and it's very weird. It's a very weird thing. I didn't have it real bad, but it was close enough for me. That's why I love me some AC during the summer months. I love the summer, don't get me wrong, but if it gets too hot, no, I'll just be in here looking outside the window. All right, that's the next article that we covered, and now let's get to the next one. And this is kind of curious, considering, of course, I didn't know Tesla was into this branch of development, but I guess they're into everything, folks. They're launching people into space under the SpaceX. They're making cars. They're making all kinds of things. And now, apparently, Tesla is making a robot. Unexplained Mysteries tells us that Tesla's building a robot named Optimus. Roll out. I'm sorry, couldn't resist. It sounds like an Autobot from Transformers, but Elon Musk's car company has branched out into developing autonomous humanoid robots. I saw this movie. It didn't go well. In the news, that is not in the slightest bit disconcerting, Musk has revealed that the robot, named Optimus, will respond to voice commands and is being designed to help eliminate dangerous, repetitive, boring tasks, presumably with applications both at home and in the workplace. Incorporating the autonomous driving technologies that Tesla has developed for its electric cars, Optimus will reportedly be 173 centimeters tall and weigh in at 57 kilograms. It will be powered by 40 electromechanical actuators and will also feature a screen on its face. Capable of carrying loads up to 20 kilograms, a prototype is expected to be revealed next year. According to Musk, however, it has been designed in such a way so that a human can overpower it without much difficulty, just in case it gets any ideas about world domination. That's good. We don't need to make Terminators yet. Tesla is arguably the world's biggest robotics company because our cars are like semi-sentient robots on wheels, he said. It kind of makes sense to put that into humanoid form, and we're also quite good at sensors and batteries and actuators. Could this be the beginning of the robot revolution, or will Optimus be little more than a gimmick for those with deep pockets? Yeah, I wonder what that price tag's going to look like. I mean, I'm all for having one that'll drag a vacuum around, not like one of those Roomba little hockey pucks that go around with brushes and knock down things all the time, and go over pet droppings and smear them all over your carpet. I'm talking like an R2-D2, that'll get me something from the fridge or, vacuum or dust. That's my kind of robot. Let's do that. Let's have those. That'd be good. Or could whip you up an omelet quick or something. I don't ask much. That'd be good for me. But anyway, that's the newest thing on the Tesla drawing board, ladies and gentlemen. So I think we should have those. We should have as long as we can overpower them in case they get out of control. I must rule the world. Nope, you're going back in the closet. All right, let's continue here. This one is the next one, which is kind of really, really tragic. I don't know what this one's all about, but we're going to learn it together, folks. This sounds really, really kind of twisted. But this one's from unexplained-mysteries.com. Pastor dies while attempting resurrection. Yeah, you heard it here. I'm not sure what he was going for there, but it didn't work, clearly. But pastor in Zambia was found dead while trying to emulate the 3-day resurrection of Jesus. According to reports, James Sakara, the pastor of Zion Church in Chidesia, Zambia, became so convinced that he could come back to life after 3 days that he decided to attempt the feat by means of being buried alive in a grave dug by 3 of his own church members. This is me staring at the camera for those of you on TFR. While most of these in attendance were reluctant to assist, he eventually set things in motion by lying down in the newly dug grave with his hands tied behind his back. Was he a magician? What's going on? Soil was then piled on top of him until he was well and truly buried alive. Oh, dear God. Unsurprisingly, when the church members returned 3 days later to dig him up and witness his resurrection, they instead found him very much dead. Some attendees even attempted spiritual exercises to revive him, but to no avail. While one of the 3 men who assisted with the stunts has since handed himself into the authorities, the remaining 2 are still at large and are currently being hunted by the police. That's terrible because, I mean, the guy wanted to do it, right? I guess if you help, you're still an accessory, but man, I mean, I know, if you got a really strong faith, you want to see that kind of stuff. So it's like, hell yeah, I'll put dirt on you. Come back and, show us it's possible. That's too bad. Those guys just helped out. Or maybe they didn't like the guy. They're like, yeah, we'll help you. That's cool. Maybe that's what it went to. I don't know. It is tragic. And I don't mean to joke around too much about it because, of course, this man lost his life pursuing his faith. And that's of course, very, very unfortunate. But should have kind of known better. Just a thought. I don't know. That's too bad. I can't help but chuckle because what do you do with that? It's like, yeah, no. All right. Well, anyway, let's continue on. The next one on our list of fun here in the portal is coming from Unexplained-Mysteries. And this one is actually the last one that I've pulled up. Now, this is kind of interesting. And I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I think it's kind of disconcerting because we all are well aware of the fact that in space, there's lots of things going on that we don't even know about. We don't know a ton of things. And I'm not talking about UFOs or anything really paranormal here. I'm talking about huge chunks of rock that are out there that we don't even know exist yet. And of course, you can't live in fear, but at the same time, I think it's important to, learn about what's out there. Well, apparently a new comet or body has been discovered out there, and this is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com, and this is NASA reveals revised risk of Bennu collision. And I don't know how big Bennu is, but maybe it'll talk about it a little bit in the article. It says at a news conference yesterday, the space agency revealed how likely it is that the asteroid will hit us. When it comes to disaster scenarios, there are none quite as terrifying as the prospect of a gigantic asteroid hurtling into the Earth, causing untold devastation and wiping out human civilization. This isn't a scenario limited to the movies either. It has happened multiple times throughout Earth's history, resulting in major extinction events such as the ones that killed the dinosaurs. As things stand, it's not a question of if it will happen again, but when. One of the most disconcerting asteroids we currently know about is Bennu, a huge space rock measuring 200 meters across that has the potential to collide with Earth in the near future. Now, according to NASA, the current data suggests that Bennu has a 1 in 1,750 chance of colliding with the Earth within the next 300 years. Didn't we read this? No, maybe not. A slight increase on previous estimates. The highest risk will come in, during a near miss on September 24th, 2182. While this might not sound particularly reassuring, these odds are still pretty small, leading NASA scientists to conclude that it's highly unlikely that we'll need to take any action. In 2135, asteroid Bennu will make a close approach with Earth, although the near-Earth object will not pose a danger to our planet at that time. Scientists must understand Bennu's exact trajectory during that encounter in order to predict how Earth's gravity will alter the asteroid's path around the sun, and affect the hazard of future Earth impacts, NASA said in a statement. Using NASA's Deep Space Network and state-of-the-art computer models, scientists were able to significantly shrink uncertainties in Bennu's orbit, determining its total impact probability through the year 2300 is about 1 in 1,750, or 0.057%. The researchers were also able to identify September 24th, 2182 as the most significant single date in terms of a potential impact, with an impact probability of 1 in 2,700, or about 0.037%. You know, I know we've read that before, so I'm sorry to repeat, because I recognize all those numbers and stuff. But okay, so here's my thinking. And maybe I said this last time too, so I'm going to make it a complete rerun here. But what have we learned in the last 50 years? What is our capabilities expanded to look like? Well, during the course of my lifetime, when I was young, there was no home computers. There was, just calculators, but that was the closest thing we had to a computer in our homes. I remember having black and white TVs. I think they were out there. The color TVs were out there, but we didn't have one at first. We had black and white. I remember getting one at some point in my very, very young years and thinking, wow, that's really cool. But I remember a lot of the TV shows, even though we had a color television, were still black and white. And maybe it was the channels that hadn't quite switched yet or whatever. But maybe I'm really misremembering that. But I remember us having a black and white TV for sure. I remember watching the Mickey Mouse Club in black and white. And that was a very, very early memory, less than 4 for sure. But what have we come to since then? And this is, let's say, 1973 until now. We've got home computers. We've got the computers that we have now are more powerful than 100 of the supercomputers back in the 80s. It's just this incredible leap of technological ability and innovation. We've done so much medically, scientifically, and technologically. And that includes our progress with weaponry. We have new, more sophisticated weapons. I mean, you can almost dial in an explosion and, send the missile and it'll do just that. And that's kind of bizarre and wild, but I would have to think by another 120 years from now, our technology will look like magic to us, really. If we were to suddenly look into the year 2137, it's probably going to look like something out of, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I mean, maybe not, but I'm just saying, just the ability that we'll have. We went from having no such thing as a cellular phone to cellular phones to, basically communicators. These mini computers that we have in our pocket now that'll surf the web. You can do pretty much everything you can on a computer, for the most part, right in your pocket. So what will the future look like? Well, I don't know. But my point in that is, by that time, do we really have to worry if a 200-meter rock comes close to the Earth? I'm pretty sure we probably will be able to vaporize it from deep space before it even gets close. So I don't know if we continue on the path we're on. So just some thoughts there. I don't know. It's all speculative, of course, but at the rate we're going, I don't know where we'll be in the year 2137 or whatever it said. But I'm sure we won't be in the same situation we're in now unless things go incredibly bad, which they could. But I don't know. I think we'll probably pull through. Hello, Renee. Good to see you, and good to see you, Bam, in TFR. Renee and Dramatic One's in there, and who's in YouTube? Let's have a look. Let's see who's chatting in YouTube now. I'm going to look at the participants, so if you want to shout out, you gotta type. And Android Purity's there, Christopher Alexander, Elaine Clifford's there, Ghost Magnet's there, Ja Peter is there, Kirk Robinson is there, Nessie Monster's there, Rachel Gets It Right, Ruger Ridge, The Unknown, and Wanda Erker is there. So, those are our chatters currently. Not saying that's everyone here, but those are the ones that are talking, so I can see you on the participants list in the chats. All right, so what up, Paranormal Portal? Hey, Ja Peter, good to see you. Good to see you all. The Unknown came in. Good to see you. Death Metal Dog Man, what's up? Good to see you as well. And Dream is lurking. Okay. Well, it's great you guys are all here. Thank you. And hopefully you're enjoying yourself. We're just getting started here, but we got a great show. Wanda's here. Yep, I said Wanda before. That's right. I'm just looking. Ghost Magnet is here. Big Rob, welcome. It's great to see you guys all in here. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support, your love, and Ruger. I remember home movies on a disc, big square disc. Ruger Ridge saying that. Yeah, I mean, when you think about technology and how far it's come, I mean, it's no kidding. I remember my first home computer was a Commodore 64. I was so excited because it was really cutting edge. It had 64,000 bits, and it was like, whoo. Or was it bytes? Either way, it was 64K was with the storage on there. I'm like, oh my God, it's so huge. And then I got the disk drive with the 5.5 floppy disks on it. And those things were wild. I don't know. It's a lifetime ago, but it's just now when you think about it, I mean, what do we have now? It's so incredibly huge how far we've come. And that's why I love technology. I really do love technology. I'm kind of all over the board. I'm kind of like a tree hugger in some ways, but I'm a techno geek in other ways, and I'm all over the map as far as my beliefs and stuff go. But I'm really excited by this stuff. Just Jordan Cogburn. Hey, you got a sunset tonight. Good. I don't know what we got. I can't see. I got too much stuff in the way, but it looks like a sunset. They've been orange up here still, but I think since the rains moved through last night, we've got rid of a bunch of the smoke from all the incredible forest fires that have been going on around in the area. Very scary stuff, but it looks like that should have helped them, I hope, all the rain we got. Thank God. Every full moon, it is cloudy, so yesterday it looked full with a big orange and yellow ring around it. Wow, that's beautiful. Must have been pretty. Excuse me. There we go. Yeah, Jordan says the fires in California, it's a big red ball. That's the way it's been up here in the north of Idaho as well. Oh, Big Chungus. Shout out to Big Chungus. You got it, brother. Or sister, whatever you are. I don't know what a Big Chungus is, but welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. All right. So listen up, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go to our first break. Then when we come back, we're going to dive into some ghostly stuff. But we got Black-Eyed Kids stuff on the menu. We've got UFO stuff on the menu and a whole bunch more. So don't go away. There'll be a lot more Paranormal Portal fun coming up in just a couple of minutes. There's the bell. All right. Don't go away, everybody. I'll be right back. I promise.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. We are into half hour number 2. And look at that beautiful orb of shungite. Thank you, Mama. That's right here on my desk. And if you don't know what shungite does, it's a pretty cool thing. It's good for healing and for making us stronger. And hopefully it's working for me. I keep holding it with all those good intentions. So. But yeah, I'm one of those people that believe that there are certain materials in the world have vibrations and they can help us, and crystals, that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool because there's lots of cultures around the world that have embraced that for millennia. And can they all be wrong? I don't think so. That's just me, though. I don't know what you guys believe, but me and my shungite ball will be right here getting healthy. So, first off, off the bat, coming back from break, the magic 8 ball's back here. That's back behind me on the little stage back there. I don't know. I think you can see it. Yeah, there you go. Yep, got the magic 8 ball too. But looks like a magic 8 ball. This is the magic 8 ball. This is shungite. This is the magic 8 ball. See? That's the difference. The 8 ball is bigger. The magic 8 ball is bigger, but the shungite is much heavier. Now, that was a gift from my mom, Portal Mom, to me when I was home back in July. Wow. Seems like forever ago now. Okay, so first off, speaking of family, I want to share with you guys some images that were sent in to me by one of my family members. And this family member is living in Tennessee. And he's got some stuff going on there. I don't know what's going on there, but he's living in he's in Johnsonville. So what the hell is it? Is that in the Appalachian Mountains? I think so, or the Smokies, one of the two. But he's in the mountains there, and he sent me some pictures from his trail cam. Now, he's got some trail cams set up that once they're triggered, he's got 3 of them, and when they're triggered, it'll send him the images right to his phone. And he's been getting some weird hits. And I'm about to share those with you now. The first one that he shared with me, well, this isn't the first one he shared with me, but this is the first one I'm going to show you. And this one comes from his, as I said, his trail cam. But it is of this anomaly here. It's only, the way his trail cam is set up, it does 3-shot bursts. So it's bam, bam, bam. And it's literally apparently that fast. It'll do a 3-burst capture when something triggers it. And the interesting thing is, and we'll zoom into this a little more, but as you can see, it looks like the only thing going on here is, how do I get down? There we go. Is that one blur. Now, if it's going bam, 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 and doing a 3 burst like that, excuse me, sorry about that. That should be there. It should be present if it's an insect, if it's even a bat or something like that. It should be present in more than one frame. However, as you look at these frames, whatever it is absolutely gone. So here it is again. Let's zoom into this even more. And it's interesting because either it's not a spherical shape or it is actually moving fast enough to create a light trail in this trail cam. Now, this is a new trail cam, so they have really quick exposure rates. They're not like the older ones that have to have the aperture open for kind of a longer time. So it's really pretty quick. But this is the anomaly, and it's not really easy to tell what it is, but there's some other trail cam pictures coming up that are going to make this one make more sense, hopefully. So, hey, buddy. And let's get to the next one now. Now, the next one, ladies and gentlemen, it's really kind of, I think it's the next one. Let's see. Yeah, this one. This one's kind of trippy, and there's a backstory to this, and this is from his trail cam as well. And this is the anomaly. Now, it's really hard to see too much, but there's some things that are really, really interesting about this picture. One of which, there is a local legend, and it's called the Ogallala Devil Dog. And it's allegedly this, I don't know, supernatural creature that looks like a huge dog. And yeah, these are all recent, Android. Yep. And it looks like a wolf or something. And it's got apparently like glowing red eyes when it sits and looks at you, but it's supernatural. It's not just a coyote or something in the area. Now, this image was one of the 3 bursts that his had taken, but he only sent me this one. And by the time I asked him for the other 2, he had already gotten rid of them. But he said this was the middle pick. He said the before pick was absolutely absent anything. The middle pick, it's already through the frame here. And by the last pick, it's already through the entire scene. So the first pick, it's triggering it, even maybe it captures the motion just as it's coming within camera range. And then, it has maybe a fraction of a second delay, and then it fires the 3 bursts. But the thing about this that really is curious to me is it does look like something quadrupedal, like a canid type outline, but it's translucent in some parts, like on the tail. And he said there was just a light haze, much like this, that's captured in most of the pictures. But he said other than this figure here, there was nothing in the whole burst except this. It looks like a spectral dog or wolf. His neighbors lost a bunch of chickens and can't figure out how. This is the reason it's called the Okolana Devil Dog is because that's the name of the road they're on. It's simply the name of the road, but it's apparently a very local phenomena. It's not something that's in the wider area at all. It's just in this very, very small community area that people know of the Okolana Devil Dog. And I don't know for sure how long this stories go, but according to my cousin, he said this has been told to people for decades at least, the stories of the Okolana Devil Dog. And he thinks, and I think this is not a normal capture of a quadrupedal animal. I don't have the before and after to show you that, but what's the model of the camera so we can Google the frame rate? It's muddy. Hold on. I don't know. Backwoods cam. This is in this backwoods, but it's a muddy. MUDDY must be the brand. But it as soon as it's triggered, and this is 9:14 p.m., it sends it to his phone. So he gets the images in real time, no matter where he is, because it's got its own cellular card in it to do that. All 3 of his do. But very interesting. But again, it's so spectral. He says he has plenty of images of other animals, deer, coyote running through the frame. And he says none of them look like this, even when they're running through the frame. The way that this looks so wispy and weird, he said, is just unbelievable. It really shocked him. Now, just for some background, my cousin is former law enforcement. He just retired recently. And he's not the kind of guy to embellish. He's pretty much matter of fact about these kind of things. It's not that he doesn't have an open mind. He does. He's got an open mind for the possibility of things, but he's not someone that'll just grab onto something and go, oh, that must be spooky. It's just really incredible. I think he's really captured something phenomenal here. Now, there's other pictures he's captured in his area. There's something going on in this area, folks. But and this is the screenshot of the image that was sent to his phone. So as you can see, it sends the date stamp, the time stamp, and even the temperature. And I don't know if this is the moon cycle, if it actually captures the moon cycle on an internal record. But at any rate, yeah. So the next ones that I want to show you from this series that he's sent me lately. And this is some orb in his driveway right out front of his house. Now the backwoods camera that had the first orb or whatever that blur was, and this alleged devil dog were both about 100 feet or so behind his house. He said apparently it's like a big this is on a ridge looking downhill. So when you're looking at this image, he said this is pointing downhill, so it gives it kind of an illusion of being smaller. But he said that scale would put it right in about the size of a wolf or a large German Shepherd next to those trees. So it's actually looking at a downhill angle. So this isn't a flat plane that we're looking at. It's actually from a top or an incline above it shooting down. And he said that would actually be a very big animal. If that were like a coyote, he said it'd be too big. But coyotes generally don't look ghostly either. It has a 0.8 second trigger speed when it detects motion, and picture resolution is 4 megapixels or 8 megapixels or 16, depending on the setting. Yeah, at any rate, all of those megapixels should be plenty big to capture trail cam. 4 megapixel is a pretty decent image. 8 would be preferable. 16 would be great, but I think you'd probably run out of memory too quick, depending on how much action you get on your cams. But this is the one out front of his house, and then we get to this. This is an orb he captured, and this was from July. Now, there's a three-pick series, and I'm going to go through them quick, and then we'll go one by one. The first one, second one, third one. Now, what I did ask him about, is there anything there that was there anything there that was reflective? And he said absolutely not. He says it's just a forest. And when you look at the motion, you can see that there is a change in the positioning. So it's not like of course the camera didn't move, as you can see as I go through these frames. Everything else is stationary outside of the movement of this orb. But I think he really did capture an actual orb on his trail cam. And, you can only zoom in so much, but it's just a ball of light, folks. I think he really did capture something very profound. That's the first image. Let's go to the second image, and it's kind of dove down there. And it's literally outside of that orb. Nothing else has changed. And then here's the third one. So, very interesting. So I wanted to share those with you guys because I think he really does have something going on. And this is the same location as the Devil Dog one, right? Let's see. Yeah, he's got a little wider exposure. Little wider exposure on the orb ones, but at any rate, very cool captures. I wanted to share those with you guys because I think that's phenomenal. If you guys send me in pictures and evidence like that, I'll be happy to talk about those on the show as well. I would ask though, if you do send me images and stuff, that we discuss them, because if I don't believe something is legitimate or it's a very big stretch to have it on the show, I won't put it on the show. And it's not because I'm trying to be an authority on the issue, but I just want to make sure. Here's the thing: evidence has to look like evidence. I don't like the whole, I circled it, here it is, there's the eye, where you need a diagram and pointers to figure out what the hell you're looking at. Those could be very legitimate images of supernatural things, but they don't stand on their own. If you can't send in a picture that stands on its own, I'd be happy to look at it privately, but I wouldn't want to showcase it on the show, because if it doesn't look like evidence, I don't want to present it as evidence on the show. So just so you know. So there, if you send in things to review for the show, I'm happy to look at them and we can discuss them. But and as we drill down, asking you questions and stuff, if it really does stand on its own, I'll be happy to put them on the show. So, but thanks, my brother, for sending those in to me. I appreciate that. And I think he caught something really cool. And I hope you guys enjoyed those. You guys are the first audience to see them anywhere. It's a Paranormal Portal exclusive. Those are really great. I'd be camping out there to see what happens next. Yeah. Well, it's right behind his house. He doesn't need to camp. He's like living literally like a few hundred feet from where those photos were taken. Yeah. And he is telling me, you got to get out here, man. You got to check this place out. And I'm like, yeah, I do. So, ladies and gentlemen, if I do make it out there, I'll be sitting out there, hopefully streaming to you guys what's going on. So, 151, send it to, Spirit Stalker. Okay. Thank you, Nessie. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. But yeah, I thought they were interesting as well, Seven Pearls. I agree. Very cool stuff. And it's good to see all the new faces that came in since the last time. But let's get on to the newsy stuff. Or not the news, but I realized when I went to break, I never closed out the news. But last show, we were going through this article. It's creepy childhood ghost stories. And I think we're on this one. I don't think we went through all of them. But no, we didn't. This is the one that we left off on last time. And it is The Haunted House Near Two Cemeteries. And this is from ranker.com. Let's see, where are we at? And this article is written by Amanda Sedlak Heavener, August 5th, 2019. And let's see what this is. Here we go. So this is from Reddit user Sassy Side. Never heard a name like that before, but not sure if this qualifies as childhood since I was in my teens, but here it goes. My mom was married to my father, a minister, for a long time, and when she left him, she left behind all the traditions they have out of spite. One of these traditions was blessing a house before entering it. Well, needless to say, the new house she and I moved into after their split was in need of a blessing. It was located between a Civil War era cemetery and a more modern one. I don't know if it had anything to do with what was happening in the house. The first day we were there, the stove had turned on by itself and shattered a glass pan that we had sitting on one of the burners. Well, we brushed it off, and from then on, things escalated. The radio would turn on and off, box fans would mysteriously turn on full blast, and my dog would end up barking at the corners with more ferocity than I'd ever seen her use. My mom got locked in the bathroom once when she was home alone and had to wait for me to come home from school to let her out. Thankfully, it was only an hour or so. I saw our visitor once or twice and took to calling him Sam. To this day, I can't explain what exactly is going on in that house, but I'm glad that I'm out of it. Yeah, that's terrible. Pets are a great indicator. If your pet's freaking out for no reason, looking at corners, barking, that's a pretty good bet that you're might be dealing with something energetic. I don't know why you'd have a bathroom that locks on the outside, though. That would suck. I mean, you got to lock it from the inside, not the outside. Ugh. All right, here's the next one. Is called Visit from Grandpa and Some Bent Keys. This is from Samir Broket. I never met my maternal grandfather, as he died before I was born at a relatively young age of around 50 or so. He died of a heart attack. He was too drunk to acknowledge he should have gone to the hospital at the time and instead sat in a chair in his living room with his house keys in his hand. And he squeezed them so hard that they were all bent when they found him in the morning. My mom described that night feeling his presence over her with his keys in his hand. Many years later, when I was about 6, my mom told me about my grandfather for the first time and showed me some photos of him. She told me the next morning that I claimed he'd visited me the previous night and handed me a set of bent house keys to play with. There's no way I could have known that detail, and I maintained this for many years until I was too old to recall it. And she told me the story. Wow. Yeah, that sounds like the real deal. I do think that's cool when our loved ones come and visit. I think that's wonderful. All right, this one's The Entity in the Basement. This is from another Reddit user. Okay. I didn't realize that looks so terrible. Hold on. I got to move that a little bit. There we go. I hope that's right. Okay. When I was 4 or 5, I'm 28 now, my older brother and I were roughhousing in the basement. I remember this very distinctly because I still can't explain what happened. It was just my brother and I in the house. Mom went grocery shopping. We were in the basement when all of a sudden a closet door just swung open. We both stopped and stared at the closet when a dark, black entity floated out of the closet towards us. All those poor kids. Oh man, that would be horrible. My brother took off upstairs and left me by myself. And I remember just staring at this black mass. I had no idea what it was. I blacked out, and when I came to, I was crying on the stairwell with my mom asking me what was going on. I was crying saying, "There's a ghost downstairs." Well, she didn't believe my brother and me. To this day, my brother and I swear a dark entity / ghost floated out of that closet. The weird thing is, my brother slept downstairs in one of the rooms, and at night, he claims he could hear someone walking around outside his room. One time, his friend stayed over and slept on the floor, and his friend claimed there was something staring at him from underneath the bed. Oh, that's horrible. That is just horrible. Oh, no. How do you get that out of your head? Ugh. A cousin of mine stayed over one night and claimed he saw a black / dark mass roam from room to room in the basement. He got up to check it out and found nothing in the rooms, so he sat down on the rumpus room, where my brother and I were roughhousing, when he claimed he saw a dark mass staring at him at the end of the hallway. He ran upstairs. We all sat down and talked about these experiences and came to the conclusion that someone was possibly murdered because the house had a really big crawl space. The crawl space entrance was located in the closet that the entity came from. No idea how to explain it, so we decided on someone being murdered. I don't know. I know that that's the thing people generally leap to is, well, somebody must have been killed here. But there's dark things all over. I don't think that's just out of murders and stuff. I think, and I don't know that they're all necessarily evil or anything. They just appear like dark masses. So that's what they want to appear like. Maybe it's the shadow people. And I know that there are those people out there that say that shadow people are just horrible, dark, terrible things. And maybe it's because they had dark experiences with them. But I've heard many, many stories of people dealing with shadow people that they were just I don't know, present. They weren't being harmful or causing trouble. They just were seen. So whatever that means, I don't know. The next one is creepy intruders that vanished into thin air. I don't know if I can get this in. This is one big chunk of text. There's 2 paragraphs. The first, 4/5 of the story is one big chunk of paragraph. Maybe I'll wait, but let me see if this one's shorter. Nope, the next one's even longer, or as long anyway. So I guess there's not much I can do except talk into the break. Less bumps in the night. Yeah, well, what's life without a few bumps? Mattress on the floor. Yeah, way better if my lady friend is staying the night. Oh, I see what you did there. Anyway, moving along. This is, I guess, I don't want to start reading it. But I will say that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be getting into the Black-Eyed Kids stuff and some UFO stuff next. I'll probably read this one when we come back, and then we'll move over to the UFO stuff, and then we'll close the show talking about Black-Eyed Kids. And that stuff is kind of twisted and dark. Again, if you don't believe in it, I understand. If you do believe in it, I understand. None of this stuff that we cover on the show is meant to make anybody believe in anything. We just talk about the phenomena because I think there's got to be something to all of this, in my opinion. Now, there are plenty of people out there that love to spin a good yarn and get some attention. Maybe they get some notoriety. Maybe it's clickbait for some people. But I think that there is such a vast array of things going on in our world that we really don't have our finger on. That if we suddenly knew everything that was going on, it'd probably make you pass out, because I just think there's that much out there. I mean, I do believe that we are only perceiving a small part of the complete experience of life and what's going on in this plane of existence. Our eyes only see a specific spectrum, specific range of the light spectrum. And I often think that maybe it's even got gaps in that range that we can't see, that maybe some of these things exist in. Maybe that's where they are. And there's also the whole sound range. Our ears can only pick up a specific amount of the sound spectrum. There's obviously higher frequency and lower frequency noises, but we just can't hear them. We oftentimes may feel them, especially when you're dealing with low frequency waves, Many people talk about reacting to earthquakes and stuff from the low frequencies. They get sick or disoriented, dizzy. I will tell you, before the whole Japan earthquake that launched the tsunamis and stuff, that for about 3 days before that, I was all over the map. I was just like, I felt dizzy and woozy and felt like my equilibrium was all off. So was that it? I don't know. But that's what occurred to me. It's like, I remember. But anyway, we're going to go to the hour break, ladies and gentlemen. Since we're on the networks, we got to take the half-hour breaks. But we will be back in just a couple minutes for more of the Paranormal Portal. Please don't go away.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. Just make sure that you're well fed.
Caroline is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves. Her life force is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to hour number 2 here on the Paranormal Portal. We've got a lot of paranormal to squeeze into this last hour, so I hope you're buckled up and sitting safely within the car. Please keep your hands, legs, and other extremities within the car because I can't be held responsible if you pull back a stump. Just saying. The portal is uncharted, and as such, we gotta observe safety protocols at all times. All right, the phone lines are open. If anybody wants to call in, you can do that. 720-923-0500. All right, I've been looking at this article, this little section of the article, for just moments now. We're reading a ranker.com page. It's the Creepy Childhood Ghost Stories by Amanda Heavener. I can't remember the middle name, but her name's Amanda Heavener. And it was written in 2019, August 5th, I think. So, which is really amazing for me because I never remember dates. But anyway, let's get to it. This one is Creepy Intruders That Vanished into Thin Air. This is from Explosive Amnesia. No idea what that is, but it sounds like a bad problem. I was about 12 at the time, babysitting my little sister, who was around 8. My parents were out for the evening at the church, setting up for some event, as I recall. I remember it was around 8 or 9 at night, plenty dark out. Excuse me. My sister and I were playing in an unfinished part of the basement, and in the Midwest, that meant this part of the basement was mostly underground, with just the storm windows at ground level. This is when things got weird. I heard the garage door upstairs open and 2 distinct pairs of footsteps walk into the house. They did not belong to my parents, being familiar with not only the sound of my parents, but also the sounds of the floorboards creaking above our heads. I knew people were in the house. I quickly shushed my sister, looking up, trying to figure out what to do. The closest phone was upstairs where the footsteps were. I knew better than to call out. 2 small girls home alone. My only concern was getting my sister out safely. As the footsteps tread back and forth, I assumed they were turning out the lights that we had left on upstairs. I could hear 2 men's voices, not enough to make out words, but I distinctly heard 2 men. As soon as my sister saw I was panicked, she began to freak out, crying and whatnot. The footsteps immediately stopped. I slapped my hand around my sister's mouth and picked her up under one arm and ran up and out of the unfinished part of the basement. To get to the bottom level sliding glass door, we had to pass the stairs that led from the upper level, where the men were, to the basement where we were. After a moment of silence, I heard booming footsteps. I could only assume they heard my sister and were headed towards us. Running with every bit of I'm gonna die adrenaline, I heard the thundering sounds of them coming down the stairs behind us. As I got to the sliding glass door, I threw it open, shoved my sister out, and screamed for her to run for help. I tripped out soon after her, and I could feel them right behind me. I had clearly heard them practically falling down the stairs, huge booming footsteps. I fully expected to get grabbed. My sister, now screaming bloody murder, had attracted the attention of our neighbors, and I turned around to see no one. They were right behind me, I heard them. I knew they were there. I had no idea where they could have gone. Needless to say, the cops were called and my parents rushed home. There were no signs of entry at all. All the upstairs doors were locked. The garage door was shut. There was nothing missing, not out of place. I still have no idea what happened that day. It was definitely one of the most terrifying experiences of my life. I'll bet it was. Jeez. Poor kids. That's just crappy. That is so crappy when you know, these entities, beings, whatever you want to call them, just torment people like that. That's just horrible. Very horrible. But let's get on to some of the UFO stuff that I promised you. And this is I don't know if it's really UFOs. Maybe it's more suppressed technology stuff. I find this topic just as interesting because there's claims that there's free energy devices out there. There's, you know, at least there's much more advanced means of utilizing the technologies that we do currently, like for electricity, for combustion engines that have been suppressed. And I think those kind of things are pretty well known. But this is one that deals with a gentleman named Otis Carr, C-A-R-R, who apparently invented anti-gravity, UFO-shaped spacecraft that could fly to the moon and go beyond. So let's see what this is from, or what this has to say. This article is from howsandwhys.com, and it's Otis Carr invented anti-gravity UFO-shaped spacecraft that could fly to the moon and go beyond. It was written by Vicky Verna in May 29th of 2021, so this year. There are very few people who think to help mankind without considering any profit in return. After great inventor Nikola Tesla, Baltimore engineer Otis T. Carr was the only person who believed in Tesla's free energy concept. He wanted to create a spacecraft that would run on free energy and take humans to the moon and other planets. His friendship with Tesla lasted until his death in 1943. He was a protege of Tesla who constructed a number of fully functional flying saucers in the late 1950s. Carr was born in West Virginia in 1904. He left school at the age of 13 and self-educated himself. He met Tesla for the first time in Manhattan in 1925 while working as a hotel clerk. The two men talked about the developments in technology and discussed energy productions. Carr, who reportedly discovered free energy, was inspired by Tesla. There's apparently a picture, for those of you on YouTube, of Otis Carr holding the Ultron electric accumulator in 1957. During an interview with the New York Herald Tribune in 1911, Tesla said, okay, my flying machine will have neither wings nor propellers. You might see it on the ground and you would never guess that it is a flying machine, yet it will be able to move at will through the air in any direction with perfect safety. Unfortunately, Tesla never had an opportunity to convert those ideas into reality due to political and budget issues. But his disciple, Carr, claimed to have achieved harnessing power from gravity and built a spacecraft using it. In the 1950s, Carr was searching for investors for his saucers and free energy program. He became friends with a Baltimore man named Ralph Elsmo, who owned an advertising enterprise. Oh, yeah, Spirit Stalker, if you send something now, I have to review it after the show, but I will check after the show to see that it came. But thank you so much. I'll look into it as soon as we get off the air, and I'll respond to you. Thank you. After finding out about Carr's ideas, Elsmo offered him a place to develop inventions using Tesla's technology. Later, he set OTC Enterprises, Inc. In 1957, Carr was promoted by advertisers as the greatest scientist and was called a creator of the solution to power sources. Free energy produced by the Colorado gravity motor. His most controversial invention was powered by the Ultron electric accumulator, described as a fourth dimension space vehicle, or the OTC X-1 spacecraft. In other words, a flying saucer. Let's close this. design satellite to orbit the moon, inventor Otis Carr explains the model of a free energy system spacecraft where he claims will orbit the moon in December 1959. He said the craft, 45 feet in diameter, will take off and then return. Wow. Okay. Carr could not have developed this technology if Tesla had not shared his ideas of anti-gravity propulsion with him years ago. In 1958, Carr claimed to have produced an anti-gravity technology that could be applied in a spacecraft. He asked for funding of around $20 million to construct manufacturing facilities and build a machine, the OTC-X1, that could fly to the moon or any other planet in the solar system. He even approached the Pentagon and pitched them his OTC-X1 concept. Being interested, the Pentagon sent a team to investigate Carr's offer. They visited his office in Baltimore and found his model useless. In 1958, the FBI started an investigation into Carr's new spacecraft model, as they were concerned that it might attract the Soviet Union, but someone tipped them off about criminal activity, and they had reports of him selling some unregistered stock. During a project, Camelot's, Carr and technician Ralph Ring had been working closely on the design of flying saucers. In the late 1950s and early 60s, the two of them built a flying saucer powered by rotating electromagnetics in conjunction with a number of small, ingenious capacitor-like devices called ultrons. They constructed several small-sized ships and a 45-foot craft that flew 10 miles at the speed of light. Jeez. I was with two other engineers when we piloted the 45-foot craft about 10 miles. I thought it hadn't moved. I thought it had failed. I was completely astonished when we realized that we had returned with samples of rocks and plants from our destination. It was a dramatic success. It was more like a kind of teleportation. You must always work with Mother Nature. Force is never necessary. The laws of the physical universe are really very simple, Ring said. And there's an article. According to Carr, any vehicle accelerated to an axis rotation relative to its attractive inertial mass immediately becomes activated by free space energy and acts as an independent force. In April 15th, 1959, hundreds of people gathered in Oklahoma City for Otis Carr's disc launch. They were invited to the launch of his 45 feet craft that would rise 400 to 600 feet in the air. However, the launch was postponed as Carr had been admitted into hospital, diagnosed with a lung hemorrhage. Eesh. I guess that's probably a reason to not be there. Wow, look at those. I do believe that even Stephen Greer has mentioned this kind of design in some work, because this looks really familiar. Carr attracted the attention of the World War II veteran U.S. Army officers Wayne Aho and Daniel Fry, who accompanied him and helped his project keep going. He claimed to launch for the moon on December 7th, 1959. In 1947, Carr prepared the documentation and later in 1959 received a U.S. patent number 2.912.44 for a project of OTC-X1 spacecraft, despite the fact that the United States Patent and Trademark Office had not recognized the idea of perpetual motion machines for a long time, and Carr's device used just such a principle. In 1960, Carr was found guilty of selling unregistered stock in Oklahoma. In January, he was charged with fraudulence of $50,000. He was sent to prison for 14 years, and meanwhile his lab was destroyed and all his prototypes were seized. It says ceased, but I think they mean seized by the government. His team members were asked not to make any contact with each other. After that, Carr lived in Pittsburgh until his death in 1982, continuing to try to interest investors in his technology. Otis Carr was a victim like Tesla, who was left unnoticed and broke at the end of his life. People often talk about the intervention of the government and forces opposed to the advancement of Carr's flying saucers. Besides, opponents of alternative energy regularly report fraud on the part of Carr. Well, I don't know. Maybe he had something, maybe he didn't. But it sounds like it's all kind of sketchy how he was handled. And I don't know. Do you believe that the government somehow framed him, or the CIA or the FBI or something? Do you believe that that's what happened, or do you think he was selling snake oil? What do you guys think? I don't know for sure. I mean, of course, we hear these claims, and I don't know. I think there's definitely enough evidence to know that. Hold on. To know that these things aren't often handled really well when it threatens the established industries and stuff. So this certainly could do that if it was producing free energy. It's really unfortunate. Just think, if these things are true, where could we be as a global community? What could we do? What could we do if we weren't having to grind out a living and, in order to struggle to survive? I mean, if we didn't have to worry about buying gas and, things like that, if there were free energy, you'd always have lights, you'd always have electricity, you'd always have the ability to communicate. So what could you focus your attention on? What kind of amazing things could people do if they could put these hurdles behind them and move forward? That's some incredible stuff. The pictures of his flying saucers look real. Metal materials. Yeah, they do. Everyone I know that challenges, they're hurt and killed. Yeah, there's that. There's definitely that, Ruthie. That's certainly the stories I've heard as well, and that's frightening that there's such a allegedly a concerted effort to bury this kind of stuff, and that's really tragic. I certainly hope that that's not the case, but I'm not naive either. I think that it very well could be. I believe I've heard similar projects and people being stopped by the government. Yeah, everyone I know. Yep, there we go. There have been many worldwide civilizations that traded with each other. I don't know what that's in reference to. History is a big cover-up, maybe. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. We certainly discuss alternative histories here on the portal all the time. We deal with the artifacts out of time and the possibility that there were very advanced civilizations here in the distant past, and what happened to all of them. There's still many mysteries that exist still. In terms of that, we still have examples of what may very well have been things built by these ultra advanced members of our global community at some point in the distant past, but I don't know. I think it's possible. I think this guy might have had something sorted out. I don't know. It's just so tragic to me to think that maybe we could have already had free energy for generations. It's just so darn tragic if that's the case, that we're still made to grind out everything on this realm. Nothing's free. Well, there are some things that maybe could be. And wouldn't it be nice then if we could free up our time and energy to work on those other things we could do? Like if we could build free energy devices that could power spacecraft and if their speed claims are true, like the speed of light. Well, if that's true, where could we go? What could we do? What would we know now as a global community? What advancements could have been made from what we would know now as a global community? And that's the kind of stuff that I really think about all the time. Where would we be? Well, it's anybody's guess, but that's the story of Otis Carr, in case you'd never heard of him. I hadn't until I read that. I didn't know that who he was or that he worked with Tesla, but that certainly in my mind gives him a lot of credibility, because I believe Nikola Tesla was so far ahead of his time. And so if this guy was his protege, then very well could be accurate that he figured some things out. But, I think those kind of minds are so rare. So I don't know, just some thoughts, folks. But at any rate, it's a good article. Raises some great questions, and I guess believe what you want. Too many people making too much money to have free energy, but I believe it's possible. Yeah, me too. It will be revealed. I sure hope so, Ruthie. 4.5 billion years old, and to say that we are the only advanced civilization in this planet is a joke. I agree, Digger Dog. Very cool. The military has a UFO patent and starcraft and is said to be very fabric of reality. Mind-boggling. Yeah, that is, Renee. Very much so. We might know how to not be so terrible to one another instead of fighting. We could be exploring. Well, yeah, just imagine. I mean, certainly energy production is one of the big thorns in our societies, our global community, leveraging for power through energy resources and stuff. So what if that was off the table? That was no longer a basis of power. So you could produce your own energy. Well, maybe people could start figuring out peace. Maybe they could start we could start having a community that's working towards our advancement rather than tearing each other down. I don't know, just some thoughts, folks. But again, I'm no expert on any of this, but I love talking about ideas. That's why I'm going to name my dog Tesla. I wanted a smart one. Excellent idea, Dream. I think that's a great name. I believe in spirits. Me too, Christopher Alexander. Me too. Well, I appreciate your guys' comments on it because I think this stuff is wild. And, maybe that information is out there. I do often think, though, if it's possible, why haven't more people found it? What are our, and I'm not saying the scientific community because I know that that's being directed by some other funding and stuff, but there are plenty of brilliant people just in our societies that aren't doing government funded stuff. So hopefully some of them will figure this stuff out and then figure out a way to make it public and let us all benefit from it. That's the key is you can't be in it for the money, because if you're in it for the money, somebody's going to buy it out. There was a gentleman that apparently in the 50s had made had produced an engine, a combustion engine, or done, at least he altered a combustion engine so that it got 100 miles to the gallon. And he showcased it all over, showed people what he did and did demonstrations. And sure enough, it was pretty incredible. And I guess Shell Oil bought up the patent and buried it. They bought up the patent and locked it out. Because what does an oil company want? It wants consumers. It wants people that need what they have. So it's that kind of mentality that it's really heartbreaking, because when you're talking about, especially combustion engines, you're talking about less CO2, you're talking about a healthier environment, and other things. So there's so many things that would be aided by letting those developments roll out. So laundry folded and hung up. Good job, Elaine. Great job. But anyway, we are down to the 2-minute mark before the last break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into the Black-Eyed Kids, folks. We're going to talk about those. Now, are they real? I don't know. I think I've read plenty of fantastical made-up stories about Black-Eyed Kids, but there's a few of them, there's several that I've read that could very well be the real thing. I don't know. It's a funny subject because it did kind of come out of nowhere. But I would say about Black-Eyed Kids is that we have a society that likes to rename things. We have a society that likes to create new names, new buzzwords, and we often attribute that as the invention point. Like, for instance, rakes. Rakes is a new name. Oh, it's just the invention of a creepypasta. Well, no, could be that those are ghouls. Those are the ghouls that were referenced for, hundreds of years prior. But the new name is a rake. And I think that's based off of either some book or some game or something that's where the rake name came from. But if people are seeing these pasty white, naked, gangly creatures running around and they say that's a rake, well, it's a ghoul. And so is the same true for Black-Eyed Kids? Is it an old phenomena, very, very old phenomena that just has a new name because of Brian Bethel, the journalist who wrote about them initially, that brought them into our modern thinking, because he claims that he had an encounter. And believe him or not, but anyway, I think just because a name is new doesn't disqualify the potential for it to be a very valid phenomena. But anyway, we'll get to that when we come back. So I hope you guys are into that. But yeah, we've covered a lot of ground already. We've gone through Ghost. We did the news. Now we did some UFO stuff. And now we're going to head into Black Eyed Kids. So 1.5 hour to go, ladies and gentlemen. It's screaming by tonight, but it's been a great journey. Thank you. I really love all the participation. When you guys are talking and commenting, it gives us a lot to discuss. Like I said, you're the co-hosts tonight. So keep it up. Don't quit now. But anyway, it describes a Black Eyed Kids experience. Yep. We'll describe one when we come back. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our last break. Don't go away, as we will just be a couple minutes. And then we'll do the last half hour and continue our journey. right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now into the last half hour of our show. And as promised, we're going to discuss some black-eyed kids. And black-eyed kids is a weird phenomenon. It's more of a modern invention, again, by Brian Bethel, a journalist. I forget where he's from. I think he's in California, but he alleges that he was parked in a like a strip mall parking lot right now to utility bill. It was going to put into a drop-off slot for his utility bill or something. And as he's sitting there in his car with his window down a little bit, two kids came up to him wearing hoodies and jeans, and it was late at night, probably like 11 or so at night. I don't remember the exact time, but he's sitting in his car, and he's got these two young kids. One looks like he's about 12, 13. The other one looks like he's about the size of an 8-year-old. And they're like, "Mister, can you help us? We wanted to go see a movie, but we can't get home. We want to get home to our mom. She's going to be so worried about us." And I won't duplicate the whole story, but he goes into how he feels like he was compelled. Like he caught his hand actually reaching to roll down the window and to let them in. And it's so much strangeness about this. At any rate, he did end up breaking the quote unquote trance and getting the hell out of there, but he did see their black eyes, and that's what really, really freaked him out. But he said he had this feeling of dread. And so he wrote about it. And then other people started coming forward. Now, is it a case where he wrote about it and so other people decided to write about it? Or is it a case where he wrote about it, other people heard about it because it really went viral? And then maybe they said there were those out there that had also had experiences that went, "Oh my God, I've seen this too. I've had this experience." And then they started sharing. Now, I imagine it's a little of both. Some of them are creative writing. Some of them are potentially the real thing. And it's hard to know which is which. But on the portal, again, I can't claim that anything is real or not real. We just talk about phenomena and ideas. And so he's in Abilene, Texas. Okay, it's my mistake, Brooks. Thank you. I knew it was somewhere warmer. Warmer than where I am. But anyway, let's get to the black-eyed kid story we got here tonight. Somebody was saying, well, what happens when they let him in? I've heard those stories too. Again, it sounds horrible. If you let him in, nothing good comes out of it, ever. So we'll share those. We can go over those on another show. Maybe the next 2-hour show, we'll talk about those. Remember, next Wednesday, for those of you here, if you're into the Bigfoot phenomena, you're going to want to tune in on Wednesday because our special guest on Wednesday will be a great one. And I know you guys will love it. But our guest on Wednesday will be none other than Todd Neese. And if you don't know who Todd Neese is, then you should probably tune in because he's pretty active in the Bigfoot community. Really nice guy. I mean, I've met him a few times at conferences and stuff, but he's a Bigfoot researcher, public speaker. He's been featured on Unsolved Mysteries on the History Channel, Discovery Channel. He's been all over the place, but he's the founder and president of the American Primate Conservancy. And we're going to have him on Wednesday, so definitely tune in. It'll be 2 hours of talking to Todd Neese and seeing what's going on in his world and what he's experienced. And so you're going to want to tune into that. So again, this is Wednesday night, 7 p.m. right here on YouTube. You can tune in and catch Todd Neese. For those of you on TFR, you're going to have to come over to YouTube if you want to catch that one because that'll just be on YouTube. But we'll probably release it as a podcast as well. So if you're a consumer of our podcasts, then definitely stay tuned for that one. This week's podcast that'll be coming out tomorrow is going to be Tom Seawood, who is a great guy. I met him at conferences too. Just a wonderful guy. And look, you guys are going to like Tom. So anyway, today's story about black-eyed kids comes from a site that I kind of stumbled on. It's called pararational.com. Pararational.com. And I can't tell when this was written. It's not a lot to go on this site. It's kind of a sparse site, as you can see, but they've got some great stories on here. I've read through a few of them, and they got some really amazing stuff going on. So if you want some good black-eyed kids content and other paranormal content, check out pararational.com. So this is New York black-eyed kid encounter. And it says black-eyed kid terrifies man in New York. This terrifying black-eyed kid encounter is a couple of years old. Whenever this is written, I have no idea. Let me blow this up a little bit. Save my eyes. Oh, it's getting way more user-friendly now. There we go. It's a couple of years old, but is one of two that have come in recently from New York. The setting is as you would expect. He was home alone and expecting someone completely different when he opened his front door. Oof. A couple things I find really interesting in this account. First is that there were 3 of them. That is slightly unusual. Yeah, it's usually 2. Secondly, none to my surprise, the front porch light wasn't working. And that is a common thread. Lights don't work, cameras fail, anything to make it harder to spot the BEKs. Lastly is that he dials the police, but the call doesn't go through. More electrical interference from the black-eyed kids? My take on this is that this gentleman is probably very lucky that he ran for it when he did. Read it through. Tell me what you think. Well, we're going to do that right now. I guess it happened in February 2009, so this article is probably from 2011 on this site. But this happened in February 2009. As being a Muslim, I'm not allowed to have a relationship with a girl until I get married. I was super excited that day because my family was going out of state to attend a wedding. My secretly relationed girlfriend was supposed to spend the 2 days at my house. She lived in Buffalo and was supposed to arrive at my place at 7 p.m. that night. At 7:30, I called her, and she said she was running late because she got out of class late. She told me 30 more minutes according to the GPS, and at 7:15, I was sitting on the couch watching a movie when suddenly I heard someone hardly beating the door. I got up and went to the closest next to the front door, I think the window, and pulled out a cricket bat. Oh, okay, the closet, he means. Okay. I opened the door, and I saw 3 kids standing there. My damn front porch light wasn't working either, but I could see the first 2 kids, not much clearly, and the outline shape of a third one. They were all looking at me and judging by their outlined head shapes towards my face. One of them told me that they were lost and needed to call their mom. They asked to come in, and that was hard. That was the biggest mistake of my life when I said, okay. They came in all facing downwards. I told them to go sit on the couch. They walked past me in an orderly fashion. I went to get the home phone from the kitchen. I wanted to call the cops first, so I did, but the call didn't go through. I went into the living room, and what I saw amazed me little. All 3 of them were sitting quietly, face down, and I thought they were good-mannered children. I walked over to them and gave them the phone. At that moment, my girlfriend called on my cell, telling me that she was 5 minutes away. Talking to her, I walked over to the kitchen. I don't know why. I disconnected with her and thought maybe I should ask them if they were hungry or wanted a drink. I stood by the living room door, which connects the kitchen, and asked them if they wanted something. At the same time, all 3 of them looked at me. Those were seriously the most scariest eyes I have ever seen. First, I thought it must be because of the lights, because it was a little dim. But staring at them for 10 seconds more, and I was screaming like a girl. I ran towards the garage door. I felt all 3 of them running after me because I could hear their feet thumping on the wooden floors. I ran into the garage, locked the door, pushed the garage door button, and crawled out as soon as the slow moron opened to my knees. I don't know. I got up, looked around, confused what to do. I looked back at the house, trying to see if the kids were going to pop up from somewhere after me. I picked up 2 bricks lying across the pavement, which my mom uses for gardening sometimes, and I waited for them to come out. I was going to pop their heads open if they came out. I stood there for like 2 or 3 minutes when I saw headlights at the end of the street. I ran towards them. I reached the door and saw that the driver was my girl. That was the happiest moment of my life with her. I got into the passenger seat and screamed at her to hit the pedal. She saw my face was full sweat and frightened, and she hit the gas pedal. We went straight to the police station, and I told the cop the whole incident. She asked me to get a breath test. I got really angry and told her to come with me. My girlfriend believed me as she believed in the paranormal stuff. We went to the house. The lights were still on. The cop had the gun in his hand and asked us to wait outside. She went inside and I picked up 2 more bricks, and so did my girlfriend. She came back after 5 minutes and said there was nobody inside. As she said that backup car was here, I asked them to accompany me inside. There was nobody in the house, but the back door, which leads to the backyard, was open, and there were shoe marks of mud on the floor by the couch they were sitting on, and the garage door looked a little cracked up. They still wouldn't believe me. I didn't file a report because I didn't want the story to get out, because it's a small town. Stories spread like fire, and I didn't want people to think I was crazy. Me and my girlfriend locked the house and drove back to Buffalo and spent the night in her dorm. I didn't come back till the day my family got back. But after that incident, I never stayed home alone. I would accompany them or spend the night at a friend's. I still go to sleep with a baseball bat and pepper spray in my bed. Well, he actually managed to do okay, considering he let him in. But that's the exception, not the rule. The other stories that I've heard of letting them in are much, much more dark. I guess we could see if I can find those. Oh, this is the other one I wanted to read. And I know I promised you black-eyed kids stories, but I got to tell you, I found this one and I was like, what? So this is talking about the white-eyed kids. And I got to admit, I've not heard of this. This is brand new to me, so let's check this one out. It also comes from the same site, ladies and gentlemen, Pararational. Let me pull up the chat so I can see if you guys are needing my attention. No, nobody said a thing. Okay. All right, so let's you are bear walked, dude. Oh, I don't know what that means. Reports of white-eyed kids filter in with reports of black-eyed kids. It says you may be familiar with black-eyed children or black-eyed kids, how they operate, and the results of encounters with them. But there is a phenomenon that is being reported along with them, and that is encounters with white-eyed kids. Yeah, this is new to me, folks. I've never heard of encountering white-eyed kids. While not as common, it seems that a few people have reported seeing them, and their methods of operation seem to differ slightly from the black-eyed kids. This is something that was filed on Reddit by a now deleted account in 2013. Was this the one? Yeah. This is awful long. I hope we can get through it. I live with my brother and his girlfriend in a fairly small southern town. Our work schedules are all at odds with each other, which means that usually one of us is home alone at any given time with a little overlap. That suits me, as I'm a pretty solitary and wired to make my own fun. Despite that, a couple days ago, Saturday the 22nd of June, I was sitting at home, both of them were at work, and I found myself bored out of my mind at around 3 p.m. After unsuccessfully flipping through TV channels, I decided to hop in my truck and cruise around for a bit. Driving put me at ease and is usually something I do late at night. The quiet, the lack of activity in the streets, there's something about it that's just calming to me. I never really have any particular direction on my joyrides, though I found myself in an old part of town. I figured that it was fortuitous timing since I was down to my last cigarette and there's a tobacco shop around there that carries my brand. I looked at my watch and saw that it was 4:45 or so, about time to get home, and started prepping dinner for my brother and his lady, enough time to stop for those cigarettes. Once there, I parked the truck around the corner, went in, bought my smokes, and left. I hopped back in the truck, cursing myself for leaving the window up when it was so hot outside. As soon as I was inside, a sudden light tapping on the window startled me. I turned to look out the driver's side window to see a kid, maybe 8 or 9 years old, standing right out about a foot from the door, staring at me. "Yeah, kid?" I asked. He stood motionless and expressionless for a few seconds after I asked the question before saying, "Mister, can you roll your window down?" My hand started to reach for the crank, but I stopped myself. That pit in my stomach was starting to feel wrong. I shook my head and asked, "What do you need, kid?" Another few seconds before the kid replied, "Mister, I think I'm lost." I started to realize that besides this kid's mouth moving, he hasn't budged at all since knocking on my window. No change in facial expression, nothing. Playing the sympathy card is definitely standard operation procedure for BEKs, as is the lack of any unnecessary movement. Watch a child for a moment. If they're awake, they will never stand still. For a child to knock on a stranger's window, an odd thing to do anyway, and then stand there like a statue, is really unnatural. Yeah, I know. I got the minion, and he's always fidgeting. Where are your parents? I realized that my voice was starting to quiver. What the hell? I'm a veteran. I'm not easily intimidated, and this is just a child. He said, I can't find them. Can you drive me home? Please take me home. Just unlock the door, and I'll get in. And I'm going to skip the narration from the author. At this point, I feel like something's up. I look away from the kid for the first time to make sure that I'd put my keys in the ignition. Check. I glanced over my right shoulder, wondering if this kid was bait for some kind of robbery, but there weren't even cars behind me for about a block, let alone people nearby. I'm psyching myself out. This kid needs help, I told myself. So I looked back at the kid, and my blood ran cold. Why hadn't I noticed before? The kid has no pupils. He doesn't even have irises. It's just white. Not like he's blind, where the pupils are milky, just stark white eyes. He still hasn't moved a muscle, and then I noticed his skin. Pale, almost translucent. I quickly turned the ignition, and my stomach dropped like I'd made a big mistake. As soon as that thing standing outside my truck heard the engine fire, he scowled and started knocking on the window. Not the light tapping from before, but hard. Mister, just let me in your truck and take me home. It's okay. I don't know how, but I could feel his voice more than I heard it, where previously what he was saying was hard to make out. I threw the truck into drive and peeled out of there, glancing in the rearview mirror. Only once I'd cleared a full block. The kid still had barely moved and only turned his head to face me. What the hell, I kept yelling to myself. I couldn't say anything else. I just kept driving, probably 15 miles an hour over the speed limit. And I'm pretty sure I blew through a couple of stop signs. It wasn't until I actually pulled into my driveway that I realized I was even heading towards home. I put the truck in park and took a few breaths to calm myself. After I got my bearings, I looked outside and realized that it was dark out. Late twilight, almost night. I looked at my watch, which read 7:01. I was no more than 5 miles away from that tobacco shop, but it took me almost 2.5 hours to get home. When did I lose that time? It took me another 20 minutes to get up the courage to step out of the truck and go inside the house, and when I did, I went straight to my room, grabbed my Glock, and went around the house making sure all the doors were locked. My brother and his girlfriend wouldn't be off work until 8:30, so I had to make sure the house was empty. Well, it was. After all, I just can't shake the feeling that I'm being watched. I spent Sunday drinking and keeping my Glock close by, and this morning I called in sick to work. Last night I told my brother what happened, and he thinks I overreacted. But I know what I saw. I still haven't seen the kid, though. I still haven't seen the kid, though. I was sure I would as soon as I stepped out of my house. I just spent the last couple of days totally paralyzed. But this morning, my courage was bolstered. My workday was nothing special. I'm in the IT department of a small regional hospital, and today was nothing out of the ordinary. As usual, just calls from doctors who act like they've never touched a computer in their lives. It wasn't until I left work that anything out of the ordinary happened. There's a 2-story... Oh, this is a different one, isn't it? Okay. Oh, this is a later post. Okay. There's a 2-story parking complex attached to the hospital by a skyway. Every entrance in and out of the complex is guarded, and I admit that I felt nervous at the idea of approaching my truck again, though I kept beating myself up about being such a wimp. I'm an atheist, even if it's a kid with screwed up eyes. What the hell can he do? Even if he's bait for some kind of car robbery, I'm more than capable of handling a couple of guys, especially today, since I put the Glock in my glove compartment. Then I saw the handprints. 2 damn kid-sized handprints on the driver's side door, and 2 on the windshield. Greasy, nasty handprints. I looked around the truck, down the parking lot aisle, nothing. So I unlocked the truck, stepped in, closed and locked the door behind me, and then pulled the pistol out of the glove box. I started to put the key in the ignition, but I didn't feel quite right about that. I wondered, that little kid was all over my truck. What if he did something to it? So I got back out, holstered the Glock. I'd worn the holster, but can't bring it into the hospital, and popped the hood. I'm not much of a mechanic, so I didn't know exactly what to look for. I guess I wanted to make sure everything looked normal. Reasonably satisfied, not that I'd really recognize sabotage at a glance anyway. I got back in the truck and locked the door as it was closing. I turned the ignition and no problems there. Once I put it in gear, I drove slowly and brake checked just to make sure the brake line wasn't screwed with. The drive home was unnerving. As soon as I pulled out of the parking garage, the sky just dropped. Monsoon levels of rain. I hate summer storms while I'm driving. That, and I had to pass by a playground a couple of blocks away from the hospital. Almost unavoidable if I wanted to get on the highway, and there's always a few kids out there, even in rainstorms. Kids love getting muddy, I guess. However, I did see a kid just standing on the sidewalk facing the playground. It gave me the chills. I got home just fine, though. The house was empty as usual. As soon as the rain let up, I took my camera outside, hoping to take a photo of the handprints, but they'd washed off, of course. I'm getting sick of this. He answers a few questions people had of him. Well, I don't know about controlled, but I was ready to roll down the window when that thing asked me to. I guess I'm glad my instincts kicked in and I refused. I didn't really start feeling that something was off initially. I'm pretty distrusting of most people, and I don't usually help strangers. Anyway, yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. That's a white-eyed kid story. Pretty creepy, huh? Isn't that creepy?
I did not even hear what
You didn't even hear it? Oh, okay, not paying attention.
That was my VR.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. So I hope you guys like those. I think the whole white-eyed kid phenomena is even as interesting as black-eyed kids. It's a strange thing. I don't know what the color of the eyes represents, if anything. Are they the same thing? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Very strange.
Daddy,
Yes, sir?
is your show going to end?
It's going to end pretty soon. We only got a couple minutes left. What do you think of that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Coming to give me a ending show hug?
Mm-hmm.
What a lucky guy I
And
am.
say the last words.
You want to say the last words? Go ahead and tell everybody what they should do.
You should like and subscribe and hit the notifications bell so when Daddy gets live, you'll not miss when they get live.
Yeah, that's right. Good advice. High five. Oof, that's pretty tough, kid. You're getting too big. He lost a tooth. Show everybody your teeth. Look at that. Look at that grin. So for Halloween this year, I'm just going to stick a candle in his mouth and let him smile. He'll be a pumpkin. What do you think? Is that a good costume? We'll just make your face orange.
No.
No? And we'll put a little peg off the top of your head?
No.
Aw, okay. All right. I thought pumpkin might be a showstopper, but you don't think?
No.
No? Oh, okay. Well, he was a real trooper. He pulled out his own tooth, ladies and gentlemen. He did it. He didn't much wanna, but he did it. Yeah, this is my youngest boy. This is my little Elijah. Yeah. And my littlest co-host, right? Yeah. So, are you subscribed?
Yeah?
Did you ring the notification bell too?
I can't because when I always turn them on, Mommy keeps turning them off.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's something, isn't it? Okay, well, thanks for subscribing, buddy. I appreciate that. That's awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up our show, but stick around for Paisley Wild coming up next if you're listening on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, or TalkStream Live, because she's coming up next with her show. She's going to talk about Blue Moon. The Blue Moon. And so she's got that going. And if you like to stick on YouTube, you can catch her show on youtube.com/thespacesbetween. But that's coming up next, folks. What?
One more.
You want to say one more thing? Go ahead.
And to call us in the shows, you have to. The phone number is 729 921
923. 923.
5.
0500. Yeah, good job. That's the phone number. Sorry, it's even small for him to see. I got it really small on my screen though, so that kind of explains it. Well, thanks for helping me to close the show. I appreciate your help.
And only 25 seconds.
Only 25 seconds. That means the bell's coming. Uh-oh. There's the bell, folks.
Can I say the last words?
Okay. Hurry.
And make sure to laugh as much
you
as much as you can.
Love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out.
And we love you all so much. Bye.
Good night, everybody. Take care.
Truth frequent.